Hey everybody, we got ourselves another little fun color along. This, if you want to go grab it, I have it on my Kofi page. It is free, so all you got to do is download it. If you want to donate, I always appreciate that. But I never ask for that for these on the freebies, just because I think it's I don't know. I think it's more enjoyable when I'm able to put something out and I know everyone has access to it, as opposed to only people who could afford the freebie can color along with me. And that's not why I do this. I do this so we could all have a little fun and color along together. But be sure to go grab it, because I only usually leave them up, unless I'm being lazy. I'll leave them up for about a week or so before I pull them down. So swing by there when you get a chance, grab it, come back here, and we'll have some color and fun. I know this picture feels like it should be closer to fall. You know, it's like I picked the hottest time of the year to post some hot cocoa. But it was one of those things, when I was drawing this, I was picturing, you know, hot chocolate with like maybe peppermint. So I was picturing, you know, a bright red cup, and like the two little sticks at the top were going to be peppermint sticks. And I was going to do white and red hearts. I had this color palette kind of picked out in my head. But as you see, what I'm going to go with is a blue cup with the stripe in the middle, like a white stripe. So I'm using this grays to really push the fact that it's a white stripe, and I'm gonna kind of bring the shading in that way. But rather than go with the red hearts and the peppermint sticks and probably like a light pink foam, I'm gonna totally take this to a chocolate and chocolate cinnamon route, where I'm going to make the little hearts almost like the little Dove chocolate. So they're gonna be some like kind of high polished chocolate hearts, and then the top for those sticks, I'm just gonna make those little waffle cone sticks, so they'll be like the cream color with the brown swirls. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is gonna turn out, just because I had such a different color palette in my head when I was working on it. You can see here, I'm trying to give the foam a little 3-dimension by putting a kind of a hard drop shadow under it. So I'm using one of the lighter grays, and I'm going under the same area, the bottom right, to kind of push this foam out. And then after that, I'm probably going to go over it with a blender to feather it out. But for right now, I really want it to have a more dimension to it. And so, you know, I am using Hero pencils. I did a review on these some time ago, and I don't hate them. They're actually a pretty fun budget pencil, and they're clearly a budget pencil. You know, you could just hear it in that sound. Not that it's a bad thing. They just have that light airiness to them. But the pigment is really nice. I mean, you can see how the blue is real vibrant, and they do blend pretty well. And I think as far as budget pencils go, they weren't a letdown. I enjoy using them, and I thought they would be perfect for this type of picture with the color palette they offer. Okay, so here I'm using a Blick Blender. Now this is definitely on the aggressive side. It's way, you know, more aggressive than your mid-range. And the reason I'm using this is because honestly, I don't have a lot of layers going on with these two blues, the dark blue and the light blue. So I'm gonna push those as much as I can with this aggressive blender and really try my best to get them to blend in and to feather them out. The one thing you'll notice and that you have to watch out for is when an aggressive blender hits your ink lines, and you could already see it kind of around the heart. You can kind of see where it's pulling that black out. It's one of those things, it's a double-bladed sword. It's great because it is so aggressive, but the downside is it'll blend everything it touches. And I think we are just going to have ourselves a full-blown Vivaldi session today, because you really can't go wrong with him. Something I want to point out real quick is when you are doing white objects and you're touching them up with that gray to give them dimension, give them form. If you're planning on blending it, you've got to be real light with it. That's why I usually try to grab one of my lightest grays, because when that blender hits it, it's really easy for it to get that dirty look, that grainy look, and it kind of amplifies that gray. So you just want to be careful of it, because what we're trying to achieve is a soft light that's hitting it, as opposed to this gritty actual gray speckles going across the shape. So just be aware of that when you're putting it down. Now with this here, I'm using that really dark brown. It's so dark it could probably be put in the swatch family in the grays. It's just really dark, but I think it's going to work well against the browns and the umber that I am going to use to make this actually look like chocolate. I'm starting with it mainly just because I want to emphasize how dark this area is going to be able to get, and I don't want to cover it with the wax of another brown before I do that. For the blender, I'm going to use a Grizaye. This is a mid-range blender. I have enough layers here that I'm fine with just using this one to push everything together. But what you will notice, again, because it's not really on the softer side, you can see how it's kind of lightening the colors. The more aggressive sometimes, the more you're going to get this reaction with the blender. It's almost making the outside of the brown that light gray. Like all that work we put into it to get it really dark, it lowers the opacity on that. So I'm not worried about it. This is a great example of a time where you can go back into your colors with the same color again. So now that I have everything blended, I'm going back with that same really dark brown, and I'm just going to pop this out again. But now my colors are all smooth, and I got rid of all the tooth on the paper. So we're going to get this heart looking as delicious as we can. And now here I'm going to go into this with the Derwent blender. Not my favorite blender, but I'm always trying to give myself a chance to learn and maybe discover new reasons why I could enjoy something. The reason I'm using an aggressive blender on this part as opposed to a softer blender, there are these highlights there, but this isn't like a shiny piece of metal or anything slick like the chocolate. So I want to wash out the white highlights I have here in between these brown strips, and I'm just going to push the chocolate the chocolate color together so it removes the white, but you still maintain that highlight. like to look up these little wafer cones to see the color, and I think I got it wrong. I mean, it's all preference, but this color I'm doing now, which is this terracotta, I think it should have been a much lighter color, almost like a khaki. So, oh well, we live and learn. I think it'll still look fine, but I really should have done this as a lighter color. Man, you could always tell a Derwent blender from that iconic two-tone lead they got going. And to tie this whole picture in, I'm going to do the terracotta leaves, so it'll give it more of that fall look, where everything is the earth tones, as opposed to a bright green, which really makes you think, you know, had I gone with the peppermint look, how different this entire picture would be with bright green leaves and the bright red cup and the peppermint stick. So the power of color will always amaze me, how the color palette you choose can change the feel of the entire picture. Like the emotion of the picture will 100% change depending on what few colors you decide to grab and put together. You know, funny enough, this whole picture, I have it edited down to around, 17 minutes or so. But the entire thing before editing, I think was maybe 20, 25 minutes, which I know, a few of y'all are gonna think, well, then why not just leave those, because I know y'all have told me multiple times that you don't mind a longer color along. And honestly, these are actually fairly short as far as color alongs go. But a lot of the stuff I'm taking out is just the stuff that's unnecessary. Sometimes if I'm shuffling through my pencils and it's taking a little longer than I want it to, I'll edit that out. And if I'm doing a lot of like majorly repetitive things, I'll edit that down. So you still see what I'm doing and we're still able to color along. I'm just not making the time chug along the way. So we could just have a little more of the enjoyable part of the color along. And to push us through the final minutes of this color along is my favorite Vivaldi song. And this one will carry us through to the end of the video. So now here we can see the difference of pencil on wax versus pencil on paper. Right there next to his eye where I didn't have any of the colors laid out. So there was not that protective sheet of wax. When that pink hit it, it seriously stuck. So it's not a huge thing. I know my blender will really soften those colors up and help push that blush into the rest of the cup, which is fine. It's just one of those fun things to note. That's why I often say that I'm going to lay down a little bit of wax first. I'll do certain colors first, so a lot of times my heavier ones aren't so heavy, or vice versa. But this is a good example of that, of how that pink stuck. And as we finish up the background, I just wanted to say thank you all very much for joining me on this color along. Don't forget to go to Kofi and grab your little freebie while I still have them posted, and we'll have some color and fun together. But until next time, y'all let me know if this is a little more your speed. I changed things up a little bit for this color along and hopefully made it a little more relaxing for you. So let me know in the comments your thoughts on it. And until next time, y'all have an awesome day.